My name is Lydia Joyce McNeil. I like to say I'm a Black woman of influences thriving with an HIV diagnosis.
So my name is Latrina Moore, and I am a community health worker at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare.
My name is Sequoia Watson. My journey as a woman has definitely had its ups and downs.
My name is Michelle Anderson, and I am a trans and HIV advocate, and I am continuing to fight daily for the rights for trans women, cisgender women, and HIV advocates.
You can do anything you want to honor your loved one.
Okay, so that's what these chalk lines are for.
As a individual who has a trans sister, Jewel Clemons, who died from HIV and AIDS, we felt that it was very important that we become a part of the AIDS Memorial Quilt.
The size is a 3x6 because that's the standard size that they dig the grave in the graveyard.
Jewel died in 1991. In her early diagnosis, they didn't even know what was wrong with her. So she lived 1 year after being diagnosed. There wasn't a lot of medication, there wasn't a lot of education, there wasn't a lot of information, there wasn't a lot of medical support. So my family was really kind of in the dark. And we didn't really know a lot or even how to adequately care for her. One thing that really was a driving force for me was that I never want another family to go through what my family went through. I saw my sister being discriminated in our own home, whereas you should have been cared for, during that time in your sickness, and she just didn't get it.
You can't make a mistake. This is the largest piece of folk art in the world.
It definitely has to be sparkly. And Jewel was very feminine, so we wanted to be feminine also.
I never knew that my aunt was trans until the funeral. And like she said, the times are different. There was a lot of ignorance within our family and around our family. And they buried my aunt as a male. That hurt me when I saw her in the casket. I was like, who is this? Because I knew she died, but I didn't know who that was in the casket because I've never seen my aunt as a male. I'm still scarred by that to this day. That was my last time seeing my aunt in a casket as a male with a suit on.
Unfortunately, in the South, we still dealing with a lot of anti-everything, pretty much. We are still fighting stigma. We're still fighting ignorance. That's just one of the fuel and the fire that contribute to individuals not receiving the information or the education that's out there. I really believe that one great equalizer is education. There are a lot of things in your community, in your area that you could become involved with. It has to be everyday citizens to get involved.
I went to the doctor. I was feeling not myself, and I went to the doctor for a routine checkup, and I found out I was pregnant. So they did the standard tests that they do. I got a call back like that next week. They told me to come into the office, and so I knew with them asking me to come into the office that it was something wrong.
I actually went into a full-blown depression. I was completely just out of it. My first thought in my mind was, am I going to die?
You know, when you, if you've ever seen, if someone gets bad news about a family member or someone passing away, it was one of those kind of yells.
Going back to September 29th, 2016. Okay. Was she, Lydia, were you scared? Yeah, because you tore up the doctor's offices. You did. She tore it up.
I just sat. I remember sitting in the doctor's office, just sitting in the room in this chair by the window, and I was just really fixated on this bird that was flying because I wanted to be that bird at that particular moment. I just wanted to be free and just not there anywhere but where I was.
What am I to do with this type of information? What am I to do with this type of news? How do I move forward in life? I want kids. I want to be married. So in my mind, that's what I thought. Like, am I going to die? Is this over for me?
I already knew the results because of the letter from the blood bank. So once I received my diagnosis from the health department, the initial shock had wore off. that this was something that I would have to live with.
Getting an HIV diagnosis is a traumatic experience. No matter what they tell you, it is a traumatic experience that kind of leaves its mark on you as you transition, as you sojourn past the moment that you've been diagnosed.
After about a year of going through a really bad depression, I just got up one day and I got into my closet and I got on my knees and I just cried. I cried for about an hour straight, and I just kept screaming and praying to God that He just take this burden off me, take this pain off my back, take the tears away, because I had had enough. I wanted to get back to me. I wanted to get back to the fun, the energetic, the smile. Every time you see me, like, I own the room. That's what I wanted to get back to, and I felt like I couldn't get there, or I wasn't there anymore because of what happened.
So my energy was like, whatever is necessary and what's needed for me not to die, that's what I need. So if it's me making sure I'm at my medical, at my doctor's appointments, if it's me being medically adherent to my drug regimen, if it's me getting, a therapist, because I need to build my medical team, because I can't die from this. And once you've been on the receiving end of a diagnosis, that's where they bring up all your shit. Like, it brings up all your stuff, not just the diagnosis, but it's like the daddy issues, the abandonment, it's the molestation and rape that you never talked about. It's like all this stuff that comes up.
Some people were educated, some were not. So it was kind of a 50-50 thing with me. When my family found out, it was like some didn't want to deal with me because of the fear, and others did. Others embraced me.
I have moments that I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about it, but I don't let that control my life. I don't let it control my day-to-day basis on what's next. So what I do is I get up and say, yeah, you might have had a nightmare that last night, Sequoia, but you know what? Today is a brand new day.
It's a process where you learn that you first have to give yourself grace and compassion before you give it to anyone else. If you call yourself a believer, you have to understand that you can ask God or, Christ for grace and not be willing to first give it to yourself.
I recently got that tattoo because I feel like that is such a big deal. And I think that with me, that's one of the things that I really have to stop and do with myself, is just kind of give myself grace, because I have to realize, like, I'm not perfect.
To me, that's how you get to freedom. That's how you get to liberation, because not to say fear will never happen, I now have the skill sets to navigate, to handle, and to triumph against it.
Before I got emotionally attached to them, I wanted them to have the option of either being in my life or not. I didn't want to get emotionally attached, and then they find out about my status, and then they decide that they didn't want to share in my life with me.
The organization Friends for Life at the time became my support system. That's where I was able to learn about the medications and how they work. I was able to commune with other individuals who were positive as well.
If they really know my story, if they really know my truth, because to know me is to know my story, then they'll understand that that's a different type of strong. That woman's different. Now I understand why she goes so hard. Now I understand why she walk in a room and it lights up. Now I understand that when she walks in the room, she owns it. So that is when it got really big for me. It got to the point where everything started manifesting for me. Doors started opening, opportunities started coming left and right, because I chose to understand that I accept it.
Forgiveness definitely played a big role, as well as faith, because without my faith, I don't think I would have been able to forgive. And with forgiveness, I went through a journey of forgiving my mom, of forgiving the person who I contracted it from.
I know that to this day, because a lot of people ask me, like, did you ever get an apology? Would you ever talk or have words with him if you ever saw him again? I honestly don't know. My mindset tells me it's fine. You don't need an apology. You know, God has been doing so many things in your life thus far and this far. There's no need for an apology. There's no need for a conversation. I'm showing him how he didn't destroy me by continuing to move and to continue to be an advocate. But my heart is telling me I want to have that conversation because I still want to know that why. Although I understand the why not me. But it's always going to be that one little question sitting in the back of your mind, and you always going to want to know why. Regardless if I have forgiven, regardless if I never forget, I still have that thought in my mind of why.
If I understood what HIV was, would it really be need for forgiveness? And I say that meaning it's like, if I understand, like, who am I forgiving? Because if I understand that I am vulnerable in, contracting HIV by engaging in condomless sex. If I understand that both me and my partner are culpable in me receiving an HIV diagnosis, is it then forgiveness that's needed or necessary? Or is it like a review of the standards and the boundaries that I had in place to make me on the receiving end of that diagnosis?
It was a lot. It was a lot. I had to forgive myself. I think that was the biggest thing for me, because a lot of times, like, we beat up ourselves when we do certain things, because we have to live with ourselves. Like, we don't have to live with anybody else. We have to live with ourselves, and we have to be comfortable in our own skin. And so in order for me to get to that point, I had to forgive myself.
I remember this song that played on my phone called Why Not Me by Tasha Lockhart. That is the moment that I was able to start my healing journey. Every word in that song spoke to me. Every part of the song, every beat of the song, the harmony, everything spoke to me. And I remember her saying, when I look in the mirror, I see a girl beautifully broken, perfectly flawed. I don't know how I made it this far. And I find myself asking questions. I was asking why. I didn't understand. I was questioning God, but I knew that if he gave me so many other different battles to go through and to fight through, then this has got to be the toughest. And I know that I'm strong enough that I'm able to get through and I'm able to handle it.
So now at 44, I'm healing the little girl. Like, I take her with me. She's with me. So it's like making sure that, because you can't, it's like this journey to be whole, right? But you can't be whole if you don't ever acknowledge where the pieces are missing. So it's like, I know this wasn't a normal childhood. I know with the language and the skill sets that you gain, even after diagnosis, like, nah, sis, you're going to have to go back and sit with yourself, sit in the mirror, and address some things that you've experienced. So that is a process, it's an ever evolving process. First and foremost, 2004 was the first time that Black women led or became the population of people who had the leading number of new HIV transmission cases. And it has been like the consistent since then. So that's 20 years, right? First things first, I would say, as a marketing, someone who has an MBA in marketing, works in marketing, communication, promotions, Black women haven't been centered.
Trans women are normally classified in the category with men sleeping with men, which they classify as MSM. And that is a totally different demographic than what they categorize us as. So we're not represented.
I think the world is seeing that it's more than just women that are fighting this, or more than just, how they started out with a gay man's disease. It's a everybody thing. Like, HIV is affecting everyone.
You center Black women, you'll get to almost any of the epidemic of HIV. My ideology and my thought process is that when you heal mother, you heal everybody in the house. Black women are going to be your mamas your grandmamas, your godmamas, your aunties, your cousin, your sister. What do Black women do in family dynamics? They make sure everybody is good.
But I'm hoping that even with all the work that I'm doing and the other community members, HIV community members are doing, that we keep on pushing to push this needle to whether this stigma is to end the epidemic, to push that this stigma is no longer a stigma.
To see them centered, they'll be more aware of their vulnerability. But doing it in such a way where they receive the message, then they'll be able to take that messaging, the communication, the education, make healthier sexual, choices. Be equipped with the knowledge on what they can do to prevent HIV contraction and transmissions. And also be affirmed, like if you are HIV positive, these are initiatives, these are programs, these are support groups. This is what you can do to navigate this, this diagnosis.
Until we as women learn ourselves inside and out and learn that, you either want to live or you either want to die. There's a choice, and I don't know about anybody else, but I love my life. I want to continue to live. I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to glow, and I want to continue to keep going. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we're dealing with out here in our society today.
What is she talking about? She's not so much talking about HIV a lot right now. It's almost like finding the intersections. Because in order to be impactful to Black women, in order to gather and garner their attention for Black women, Black folk centering Black women, is that we got to figure out how does HIV impact different aspects of our lives. Marketing. I got to figure out, saying, if you service Black women or you sell products to Black women, this is why you need to be concerned about HIV because of, At this point, she's just doing the work, for the ING, and just making sure I am in line with my higher self. She is doing things to make her little girl smile.
Just doing the best that I can, just making sure that in every area, in every hat that I wear, that I show up as me, authentically me. I might not have gotten it right fully on this day with this situation, but I've tried, just as long as I know that I tried, and I'm not giving up, I'm not quitting. And I just find the inner strength inside of me to just keep going and do what I have to do for myself and for those in my life.
I came out and started telling my story 3 years ago. I actually told it at a brunch in front of 200 plus women in the room. I didn't have a nervous bone in my body. I don't know how I did it. You ask me today, even 4 years later, how did she do that? How did she get the courage to stand in front of all these women and tell them her deepest, darkest secrets that happened to her? And I realized that it wasn't my fault.
With all the experiences and things that I've gone through, I have different dreams now that surround my advocacy of being someone who is currently living with HIV and showing the world that HIV doesn't stop who you are. Being a trans person doesn't stop your dreams from being who you are and what you want to do. So I would say my dreams have shifted to where that they're more of determination goals.
You're still human. You still can do everything that everybody else is doing. Don't let your status dictate your life and maneuver your life for whatever the future plans have or about to happen for you or what God has for you. You still can get the husband. You still can have the kids. You don't have to keep questioning why this happened to me. You should start saying, why not me?
It's so many different facets of us, that we're comprised of so many different thoughts and emotions and experiences that it's just so great to be able to share with others. And so that's what we're here for, because we're not an island of our own. We're not an island to ourselves. Like, we need one another.
I go through my journey and my life following the 3 B's: booked, busy, and blessed. Every time you see me, I'm working. I'm doing something. Whether it's on the weekend, whether it's during the week, every time I'm always staying busy. And this is the part that I don't really tell people. I stay busy so that I don't lose my mind.
I still have some living to do. Like, the diagnosis doesn't stop me. I still thank God every day I wake up and see another day, because I still have some living to do. I still have a purpose to drive for, you know.
So it's me advocating, but for getting tools to do it in a different way. Because if you know anything about HIV and, you know, how we have to, policy is what reigns supreme. And so she is working on, you know, doctoral applications to do that, applying to do TEDx talks, centering, you know, Black women in HIV and health justice.
I think first and foremost, I help them by listening to them. Sometimes people just need a listening ear, and sharing my experience as well. When people see that someone else is going through something, it doesn't have to be necessarily HIV, but just something. It encourages them, because it's like, okay, if you're getting through this, or if you're going through this, or if you have made it thus far, I can do it too.
Just the work that I've been doing with pushing forward to get to working with the ACLU to get aggravated prostitution and criminal exposure taken off the sex offender registry. Being involved with the National HIV and AIDS Housing Coalition to make sure that everyone who is living with HIV has the right to affordable and safe housing.
Loving me and falling more and more in love with me feels secure. It feels affirming, but it also feels like detaching from expectations of people. It feels liberating, because you get to dance how you want to dance. You get to show up how you want to show up, unapologetically so.
I'm glad to be putting up that fight, because I'm tired of being in the shadows, and I want my sisters to have that same fight and that same vigor as I do, to really push to be seen and heard.
I am somebody's shero, and I just wake up thinking about what's next. I don't know what's next, but I do ask God every day, and I pray to God every day, just prepare me, prepare my mind, prepare my soul, prepare my emotions, because I'm ready to take over the world.
Sister, have you done the work to realize who it is that you really are? Have you taken the time to learn yourself? If you haven't, I invite you to do that. Once you've taken the time to discover what it is that you like, what you love, what you can't stand, what you don't want no more of, start there, because as you begin to know what you like and love, what you need and want, what you desire, you start to shape your life, your decisions, your actions to support what it is that you do want in your life and what you don't want in your life.
It gets hard. It does get hard, and it gets trying. Those rough times are gonna form you into a strong being.
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are beautiful, you are fierce, you are strong, you are worthy. You are deserving of every good thing that you desire, despite whatever circumstances, whatever trials, whatever triumphs that you have endured and will endure. You're able to make it through.
You are resilient, you are powerful, you are brave, you are courageous, you are a shero, you are beautiful, you are a light, you are bright, you are a daughter, you will be a wife, you are a teacher, you are a mentor, you are a coach, you are a brand, you are she, you're me, and you're her. And don't you ever forget that.